Dillon's initial point about wanting to do this with John was helping motivate the new generation of people to not just learn the process, but to get engaged in the trades. And I think that's one of the coolest mission sets that they have when it comes to the company. And Dillon's whole purpose in all of this, and I don't want to speak for you, this is just my takeaway from our conversations, is to create incentivization, innovation, and inspiration so that people don't just continue to do business as normal, but recognize that there's an opportunity to grow into something greater, and that the industry as a whole has the ability to shift into what modern times and modern technology has to offer. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce everybody here to Mr. Dillon Mitchell. Give it up.
Some guys. For this, I've titled this Advanced BIM, Automation, AI, and the Future of Construction. Big old sexy title. So let's go through what we're going to talk about. Why we're even talking about AI, other than there's a whole bunch of data center construction. What AI in construction can even do. Some of that we talked about here this morning. How to start thinking about it, AI, automation, moving forward. And then how do we implement AI training as we go. There's going to be some feedback, Alec. So right now, as everybody's told you, we're 500,000 jobs short across all of construction. And if my clicker works. Or really millions is short because like the military alone said that they need 500 or 600,000 people. So at the end of the day, like you're on your own, right? No one's coming to save you because you guys that you're bringing dreams to reality every day. Something that somebody had in their head to say that, hey, I want to build this thing, go after whatever they're going to do, right? Whatever they're going to build. That's why you are here, to bring those dreams to life. But as we stated, you got more opportunity than you can handle, right? You don't have enough people to do the thing that you want to do. And so with that, instead of training more people, we turn to technology, right? You don't have enough people to do the thing that you ultimately want to do. So I'm here to talk about AI, automation, BIM. I'm the engineer, right? I'm not the contractor. But with that, construction's a $2.4 trillion a year industry. It's $1.2 trillion in residential, $600 million in infrastructure, $600 million in commercial, and then the big gorilla that everybody wants to talk about is $79 billion in data centers in 2026. That's what's estimated. And who knows, Elon hasn't decided he wants to build some power plants and another $50 billion deal tomorrow. I mean, this number is only going to go up. Data center is going to be crazy. And that's, you know, as Patrick alluded to, what everybody wants to talk about. But here's the other number, is that AI is expected to produce a 10% increase in GDP. So overall productivity of the workforce, it's estimated at 10%, which is pretty cool. So I'm here because I was the guy working in the office, like Dan alluded to earlier, working super late, nights, weekends, everything that you had to do to get the drawings out the door. Because for all of you, drawings just magically show up in your inbox, right? Like it's a black box and you kick me and the one architect in the room to like get this over to you to figure it all out, right? And then this is what you're going to build and then yell at us when it's not right. Okay, so that's what we do. So for me, I was working in Indianapolis at the time, and I was the MEP project manager for Ascension Healthcare, and we were doing $100 million worth of projects a year, right? That's from MOBs to ORs to anything that the hospital said that they wanted to do. So all that rode on my shoulders. I was not only the electrical engineer record for that, doing $100 million, but I was also the MEP project manager. And for like an OR renovation, it is all MEP, you know, except for the one structure guy to redo all the booms in those ORs. So like all of that rode on my back for it. And it's, as I was talking to all the other guys, like it is sink or swim. There was no help. There was nobody coming to save me. And so, and all that happened, I took a job I was a director of a department. We were doing 1.2 million square feet of education space a year across like 3 states. And so I was also the department head, so I had 9 guys under me of K-12 buildings that we were putting out. And I stepped from that to take a pay increase to just be a senior electrical engineer, right? So I took a 25% raise to take a step down in title to just be an engineer. And then like 2 months into that job, the PM quit, and so I took over all the healthcare projects without a pay raise. So about 6 months into that job, I had a 1 week vacation planned. And so like my family has lived on the West Coast. Like I've been on a plane since I was a kid. Grew up in Virginia and flew to Oregon every year where my grandparents lived on the Oregon coast for vacation. So from DC to San Francisco and then up, like I don't think there's been a year I've not been on an airplane. And now I live in California and I'll hit some statuses this year for flights. But all that to say, like, we've had a timeshare for years in Maui. And so my family I was going to fly from Indianapolis to a week vacation in Maui. This is Kaanapali. I think this is still standing. This is a Westin in Kaanapali for anybody that's been to Maui. And so from Indianapolis, right? Y'all live in the Midwest here. So like February in the Midwest, unless you're Patrick, kind of sucks, the guy that moved back from Texas. So I was like, yeah, let's get out of here. This is going to be awesome. It was my like 5th or 6th time to Maui. I've done the Maui Loop on a bike like 2 or 3 times, which is a 56-mile loop around the island. Awesome place. I've swam with dolphins there. It's like incredible, right? Just out in the wild. They magically appeared, much like drawings to your inbox. So Indy's cold. It sucks. But like working on all those projects, 2 days before stepping on the plane, I got shingles, right? If anybody's ever had it, it's super painful. So for me, it was on the left half of my body. It was blistery, it's itchy, it's super painful, and you can't get rid of it. Like, you're just gonna ride it out for 10 days. You get some antivirals, which I don't know if they did anything or not, and you rotate between Tylenol and Advil to, not ruin your kidneys or your liver. So you rotate so that you do equally damage both of them. So that's like, for me, that's what happened, right? Like, and so doing all this work, I have $1 billion worth of projects under me. So as a young guy, like I have done a lot because I manage the department. I signed off on all the drawings. I have a ton of projects under me, mainly because I graduated from college at 20. I got my PE and MBA pretty much simultaneously at 25, went to manage a department, and we go on from there. So with that, like, there's got to be a better way. Much to, what Dan talked about earlier, like, we can't just do this the same old way we've been doing it forever. Like, there used to be, if you see all the old pictures, because I wasn't around back then, but of 200 drafters in a room, half of them are smoking. And as the old guys would tell me, it's like they'd walk into the drafting room and you'd open the door and a plume of smoke would just come out, right? Because half of them are smoking cigarettes. You got to wipe the ash off the drawings. Like that's how drawings got produced, not that long ago. AutoCAD for a lot of firms was implemented in the late 90s. This technology thing for construction has really not been around all that long. It really hasn't. And so like you can still find like blueprints from like Mylar from 98. And I'm like, what is this? Guy. Like this BIM and technology thing, it was in like 2003. I've heard the guy who invented it do some presentations at keynotes. And so it's not been around that long. And then BIM was not even good for MEP systems until like 2012, 2013. So it's really not new, but there's a lot of things that go into all of this. And so all that long story to say, like basically 6 months later, I quit my job. I got back with my girlfriend who lived out in California, and I packed all my shit up in my Honda Civic and drove across the country, right? So I was just like, I'm tired of this. I got no help from nobody. Nobody cared. I kept getting these basically title increases without pay increases. I'm managing a ton of work for the healthcare system. Like we were their go-to engineer. We were one of 2 for Ascension Healthcare in the state of Indiana. We did anything and everything that they wanted, right? X-ray, Kokomo, Indiana, or some other little town you've never heard of. We did it all. Not only that, we were doing all the work for Baltimore University and all their anything that they wanted to, from dining halls, dorms, like we did all their work. So we had just a ton of work that rode on my shoulders as the electrical engineer of record for the office. So anything healthcare, anything higher ed, we did. And at the time I worked for a big company, but even that with their other offices, like they didn't have the people to support either, right? And so I'm sure a lot of you guys can resonate with, even though you might be a large company, like you're it. You are dedicated to that project. Everyone else has their own project to work on. They cannot help you. You're on your own. So in 2018, I quit my job, moved to California, right? Every Western song out there, except it's not California anymore. But like, I built this because nobody should get like stress-induced illnesses from their job, from going to work. And me telling the story, I've got a podcast, and I've done it for the last 7 years now. I got 367 episodes of it. I've talked to a ton of people across all of construction. And in that, there is like one common theme. They probably know somebody that's got high blood pressure, got cancer at like 30. We were talking about somebody else like 25, got, a tumor. One of my best friends had a tumor on his neck. He was working at Skanska and running big projects for them. And like he had a tumor growth at like 28, right? So like the stress of this industry, as Patrick said and he learned, like it's already hard, man. Don't make it any harder. Like we go through enough. When you're trying to put 100 million on your back at like 27, that's a lot to ride. Or, Patrick's got 50,000 in liquidated damages a day, or now signing large projects, 9, maybe a 10 figure in there. Project, like, dude, that's a lot to put on your back and make sure that this thing goes. And so I know all of you do that. So I'll give you a little context about the next thing that I'm about to show you guys. So this is a high school in Cary, North Carolina that one of the firms I worked at did. 320,000 square feet. $75 million job. It would take 4,500 hours, right? This is all the magic that none of you guys ever see. So it takes 2 engineers a year to bring that thing to life, to put full construction documents together that would be bid out, that then everybody prices, and then everybody complains about later for the next 2 years when this thing's getting built. So that's just electrically. For the design trades, that's like 42,000 hours combined across everybody, architecture, structure, civil, MEP, everybody to put drawings together that get out, right? I mean, those stacks of drawings for a project that big are quite substantial. Some of you guys have seen them. And so, beautiful project, right? Fancy pictures. So this is automation of what we can do. And today, for this is a quick video to run through. I'm setting up the model, copy monitoring levels for anybody that knows Revit, putting all this stuff in. So this is like fully walking through it of running automation that we built to do all this fancy stuff, to produce drawings, to hit the timelines that Patrick magically agreed to for all of you guys to hit, right? Like that's what this is about. I'm going to on him because he's a speaker and it's fun. So, but this is what we all agree to, right? We agree to magic schedules, magic deadlines that we all just kind of pull out and hopefully we can hit and the next project doesn't come in the door. So this is me going through all the systems for lighting, receptacles, switches, aux sensors, panels, like you name it in this project, we're going to put it in, and I'm designing as I go. So it's every single room in this project. We're making design choices as we go to put it in, and here you go, right? So we'll walk through the project. I know you can't read all that little small text, but that's all right. So there's a bunch of lights. There's a bunch of outlets. We'll coordinate it. We'll either tell the architects to move the ceiling grid, or we'll lead it and we'll move everything one way or the other. We'll get it coordinated, right? At the end of the day, but all this stuff is in there now. We can coordinate it, have design decisions, discussions, because usually like all this stuff, this is what we call like design documents. It would usually take 6 months to get to this point, right? Or some substantial amount of time, 3-4 months to get to this point to like then have conversations around, well, where does this go or that go? And furniture's not even in here because hell, if we can get them to like show up to a meeting until CDs. But this is how all this runs, man. Yeah, the one architect laughs back there because he knows. So again, this is like how all of these projects goes. Like, we don't have a ton of information, and then more you guys are finding out about this that are in the design build world. Like, what goes into these projects up front, the assumptions we have to make, the things that we're deciding and guessing on as we go. So what you just saw, 320,000 square feet, we put in 6,700 devices. This took a half hour to like actually run through, not the 2 minutes that you saw, right, or 27 minutes to do it. To do, let's just call this half. This would be like $1,600 in cost with our software and 13 minutes of like human capital, right? The rest is machine time. So when we talk about all this stuff and automation and how do you go faster and how do you run, and Dan getting told to like, hey there, buddy, slow down, you're ruining our schedule. Like, this looks bad that we're finishing this so fast, right? And I think that's like the other side of this conversation is when you start to use AI and automation to run things faster, that doesn't mean you need to necessarily charge less. It means that you've got to show the value of what this saves in time and how this benefits the client, so that if you are using prefab or these other things, that like time has a premium to it, right? Private jets would not exist if time did not have a premium to people. So we got to think about time. And so I'll give you another example. These are 40,000 square foot building, $10 million, 10 weeks to do it electrically, 4,000 hours, give or take. And so we'll run through it again. But same deal, right? Small project. This will take, whatever, 15 minutes to run through in real life, and this video is sped up to 90 seconds. So all this to say, like, automation is here. It's not, most of this was built in 2018, 2019. Like, I went to market with this in 2020. Great time to do that, by the way. If anybody can plan a pandemic and then launch software right before that, best time to do it. So, I mean, this stuff has been around for quite some time. So it's not new, it's here, and then how do you innovate and build upon it, right? Because everybody cares about their schedule, they care about time, but a lot of it, and honestly for this and design decisions and everything else, it comes down to conversations, right? Like the conversations I can now have with a client because things laid out in, you know, I won't show it to you for like a week, but you know, like it's laid out pretty quickly. We can now have better conversations sooner in a project to allow you to make better decisions. And that's what this is all about, is like, let's make better decisions. But this is all came down to, because like, we don't have the people, right? I didn't have the staff, we didn't have the space, there was no way to get these things done. So with this, well, yeah, automation's great, basically. Fantastic. So let's talk about tech adoption, because you're like, okay, great, how do I use this thing? For most of you, you're not customers, doesn't matter, unless you work with us on engineering. But for any tech adoption that you're trying to do, right, which is the bigger point here, whether you're trying to do prefab, whether you're trying to implement a CRM, whether you're trying to implement anything technology, right, there are ultimately two types of people that do it. And there are the perfectionists, right? The guys that say, this thing has to be just completely perfect, right? But like, I want more, I want another feature. This thing is not good enough. I'm not gonna use it until it's perfect. And to those people, I say, if it's perfect, I don't need you. Do you not understand that? If this thing is perfect, you are not necessary. So in a world of technology, you have to take what you have today and improve upon it, right? It's not going to be perfect. If it's perfect, you don't need people. So the people that I end up talking to about technology and automation, and they're like, well, it's not perfect. I'm like, dude. To a lot of these conversations, and you know what Adam said today too, is like, you have to explain to them as the owners, as the leadership here in this room, you have to explain to them what's at stake. Like, why are we doing this? Why are we implementing this technology adoption? Because if you're in your organization and you're saying like, hey man, we got to do this, there's a reason for it. Like, you have some good reason as to why this is happening. Whether it's like you don't have the people, you can't do anything more, there's a lot at stake in doing this. And so this is like an actual conversation I had with somebody this week, and this shit just pisses me off. So like, guys say, like, in the grand scheme of things, this is saving probably 50% of time spent on 20% of a project. I'm looking for development that will save 50% on 80% of the project. It's like, dude, then you just lost your job, You're trying to like buy a thing that will not allow you to work. And you're not licensed, so you have no value in the company. As a PE licensed engineer, we're the only engineers in construction that actually take responsibility for it, right? At the end of the day, our name is on the drawings, my name is on the drawings, and I take responsibility for it. I could design a car and kill millions of people. No one's actually responsible. Everybody forgets that, by the way. Same with our architect friend in the back. So like, we take responsibility for all that. Like, our names are on that drawing, right? Even as you guys as the builders, your personal name is not on it, right? Like, my personal name is tied to that set of drawings. So like, this attitude, right? Like, you're holding me back. This is what we're going around in circles on. So again, it goes back to use the leadership to take all that in. Because if you did the math in there, like a 50% on 20% of the project, that's 10% savings across all projects. Guess what happens to that? That's all profit. Guess what happens to that? Right to the bottom line. And if you had 10% more money straight to the bottom line, right, of revenue, not gross, like straight up revenue to the bottom line, and you reinvested it, like, where could you go? That's starting to talk about compounded growth. Because if it's a home run and a monkey can just press some buttons, like, you know, get an army of monkeys. But that's not what we're talking about. Like, at the end of the day, there's two types of people, and for a lot of you, hopefully you get the reference of Atlas Shrugged, is there's consumers and producers, right? We are the producers. We are the builders. We are not the consumers. And so in an army, and I'm going to use this reference for this, you know, as leaders of your organization, like, there is only one general, right? I know there's a lot, but, you know, for your given organization, there's one general, right? There's one guy making the call. There's one guy pointing the direction of where you're going, and then everybody else has, you know, their individual command and control down there. And Adam can probably correct me later on. But this is, look, we're at the dawn of a new age. Napoleon Hill got it right, you know, a long time ago. But the next phase is about thinking and bringing your creations to life. Like, it is imagining what the future can be and bringing those things to life. And the reason I bring up this standard distribution curve and standard deviations is not only am I an engineer, but like, this is the distribution of people, right? On the far left, you got 0.13%. Those are the guys that run big businesses, right? Which is a lot of you guys in the room, right? Over $1 million, like, that's, you are in the 0.6% category, right? 6% entrepreneurs, and then of that, only 10% reach $1 million in revenue. So 0.6% of the population that ultimately do that. So you're the, you know, pick a side, usually the far left is where you put that in the outliers. Like, that is what we're talking about, right? And then everybody else falls under that 2% in the next standard deviation slot. Like, that is your leadership, right? That is your next tier of people. Beyond that is, you know, your low-level managers and then your field crew, right? And hopefully you don't fall on the other side of this curve, right, from the mean. So for this room, I hope that you're inspired to go and do more. From all the conversations that we have here today, to learn from people, to take this as inspiration. Because at the end of the day, we are truly entering the age of think and grow rich, right? Whatever you think, you can put into a prompt, you can help create it. Every single image in this presentation was done by AI, right? I did not draw any of these. I typed in some words and I got some pictures, right? Canva AI, by the way, is the best image generator for anybody curious out there. So, like, whatever you think you can do, you can build, right? Like, I hired people to build the first iterations of my software. Since 2020, I've written every single line of code in it. Well, like, you have a dream, you have a vision, you have an idea of what you want to build, what things you can create. And as you've seen from these presentations and the growth of some of these companies, like, you can go a heck of a lot further than you ever thought possible, right? To grow to billions of dollars in revenue in 15, 20 years, like, that's very impressive. And so I think we can all take inspiration from that and what is possible, and then to land and become acclimated to $100 million job, $200 million job. Like, there's more and more of them today. There's more and more that are coming through. And I think for all of us, like, as flashy as AI and what automation can do, this still comes down to painting the vision, right? Are you Michelangelo painting a ceiling and believing in that? Are you the guy commissioning it, right? Building and developing where those projects are going to go, where those developments are going to get placed. There's all sorts in this, right? But you as leadership have to show what is possible, what we can do, and where we're going. Because here's why. So with AI and automation, like, you have a short time to win. Very short time to win, because it is going to be, maybe not so much in construction per se, but like, I mean really win. Because the big are only getting bigger. They're going to buy up everybody else for that, because the first guys to really figure out automation, prefab, industrialization of construction, the thing that like the automakers have done for 100 years is, because that's always the reference, Dan, you know, is to those guys in manufacturing, is like the first guys to really figure this out, to really build that machine. It will be, one, so fast that you will not be able to catch up, but it is a winner-take-all market. Like, and not completely in construction, right? We all know that there's projects that we're just not going to touch or handle or go after, but like somebody will figure out how to do that $200,000 job and that $2 billion job, right? Somebody will figure out how to do all scale, everything in between, and team and people to execute way. Because those guys doing those $200,000 projects today, in 10 years, they might be doing that $2 billion project, and their construction team is locked in, right? So we have to think about that. But like showing up here today in rooms like this that you're going to, and some of this is going to be obviously rooms like this and showing up here today, but it's also going to be showing up to your local, not Chamber of Commerce, but like Young Entrepreneurs Organization, or some of these others where you can be around people that are doing awesome things, where you can learn from guys. Like, I sat with Dan till pretty late last night having a cigar, and got me to think differently about how I'm going to approach what we're doing and building. And so a lot of this is like, you got to figure it out, right? To earlier, nobody's coming to save you. No one is coming to help you. You and your team and your partners and maybe the people in this room are going to help you get there, right? ARCO's done it through a ton of partnerships along the way. They couldn't, as Patrick told us, do without their subcontracting partners, right? Like, you can't do it. And you found better ones along the way because, like, it makes sense, right? So you've got to figure it out, however you're going to get there, whether it's you build the team internally, like Dan did, whether it's you go and partner with people and figure the rest of it out. Like, you have to do all of that. And it is your responsibility to put it on your back and help carry and lead the team. But also, you got to teach the next guy coming up behind you, right? You got to be training your replacement. You got to teach the next generation how to think. AI, like, you don't have to go through this buku thing of research to figure out this, that, or the other thing, right? You can prompt that. You can get big summaries, like all the research that you would have done to get to that end number or whatever you're looking for, you can do pretty quickly now. But do you even ask the right questions? Are you even asking the right thing to get where you want to go? Do you know where you want to go? Right? And so it's teaching people how to think, the questions they need to ask, and the process and how to get there. So these are writer-downers for anybody paying attention. So here's 3 steps to train your team. I told you I was going to tell you how to do it. So here's how to do it. Record you doing it. In the field, this also means, because now everybody carries a nice little camera in their pocket, like, go and record somebody doing the thing. Taping drywall, painting, bending conduit, whatever. Record them doing it. Now pick a good guy to, do this with, right? Don't pick your apprentice who doesn't know how to sweep the floor properly, right? Pick a good guy to figure it out. And for all of you that are estimating, doing shit on the computer, like doing anything with the screen in front of it, record yourself doing it. Easy. Step 1. And then talk through it. Like, just pull up a Zoom or Teams meeting, literally record yourself doing the thing, and then just talk through it like you would coach anybody else. It's weird to hold a meeting with yourself and talk to yourself, but it will help a tremendous amount. I promise. I do this basically for every new thing that we go through. So that's step one. Step two, the new guy watches the video and they do it. Pretty simple. Instead of you, the leader, the guy coaching everybody, having to do this for every single new hire that you put through your organization, watch the videos. Kids are used to watching YouTube these days. They're pretty good at it. They've done the whole Netflix thing. So they can watch a video, they can pause it, they can go back through it. And what this will also teach you is, at first, how bad of a teacher you are. how many more steps you need to explain that you just glaze over because you've been doing it for 30 years, right? Like you then learn the things that you just kind of breeze through and put numbers to it. It'll help you to understand how you think better or why you come to that thing, that assumption, those numbers that you've always plugged in that you might need to revisit these days, right? It'll help you to do all that. And then lastly is you review it with them, right? And even on the field, because these days everything's recorded, so like we always worry about getting sued and everything else, but like, let's face it, you're getting recorded at some point anyway. Just record them doing the work too so that you can review it with them. It's like watching game tape for anything else, and then go through. So for us on the computer, for all you estimators, for anybody doing paperwork, bids, whatever, contracts, insurance, go through anything on the computer. You review it, pull up their work. Again, start a meeting with yourself, hit that little record button, turn on a microphone. You don't have to turn on the camera because you just need voice and watch the screen. But like review it, record the corrections to their work, and then send it back to them. They see it, they watch it, they review it, they improve upon it. And then you want to get advanced with this. You take all of those transcriptions, you run it through AI, pick your platform of choice, and then tell it to create a SOP, standard operating procedure, for me, and then it will spit it out in that format. You have the videos, and you go from there. Because frankly, as you all know, nobody writes shit down unless you have to for paperwork or a report. Nobody has ever written a procedure down that I have ever met in construction. You talk to every old guy, they will not write shit down. You ask them for a 500-word article, it's like pulling teeth. But you want to sit down and have a 4-hour conversation with them. Oh, buddy, pony right up, grab a cup of coffee or a beer, and it probably went from coffee to beer at some point in that conversation. And, they're happy to, right? Every single one of you. Guaranteed, I've done it with half of you. Just record it. Y'all love to talk. And then repeat that forever. Those are steps, right? Record yourself doing it. For all you that didn't write it down, they watch the video, they do it, you review it, record it, send it back to them. Repeat. Pretty simple. So I'm going to tell a story about basically this coaching principle. He didn't know he was doing it. I told him I was going to talk about him, so you can tell me to shut up. I put that right in the slide too, Frank. Lee Mechanical has been a great partner for us, and I'm going to tell a story about him and why we're here. Actually, Frank's a big reason of why we're here. But anyway, I'm on site. I'm an engineer. I actually like to show up to places. And like when I got my start in construction, I started with a 65-year-old electrician. He was, about this tall. Could probably still whip my ass at 21. When he was 65, probably a bad hip and a knees, but I know where that boot would go. So he was a good old boy from the hills of Kentucky, worked at a Michelin plant for rubber in the west end of Louisville for 35 years, retired. And I went and did arc flash studies. So I traveled mostly all the Midwest going and doing data collection. So I did that for 2 summers, basically since the time I was still 17, but since 17 to time I was 23, I worked for these guys, going and doing data collection and opening gear. Like I was a junior in college and I was platinum at the Hilton because I stayed in so many hotels. But in doing this, like we opened gear and I learned a ton from that guy. But I've been in plants holding the clipboard for a long time. And, growing up at doing 4-H and walking through and just being in that like old boys thing. And people have a very hard time when you say like old boys network. Like, what does that mean? How do I get in? You know, they're keeping me outside, right? It's like, they just don't trust you. You haven't earned it yet. And so I'm doing this and walking on job sites. Again, I'm licensed 25. Like, when I walk on a job site, like, I understand how important I do that. Engineering, I have quite a bit of power. Nothing's going to ever happen, especially like at 25. If I'd shaved, it's like, dude, what's this 12-year-old doing here holding a clipboard, walking around my job site, right? But like, at the end of the day, I know what power I hold, but at the end, if you don't have like your contractors, your partners on your same side, like, dude, nothing gets done. And so I've always learned to like horse trade and work with everybody, right? Whether I was doing public work projects or, you know, university stuff, hospitals, it didn't matter. Like, they are your team, your partners, and at the end of the day, the job has to get done. So that's the moral of the story. Like, I like going on job sites. It's fun, man. It's cool. Get out of that cubicle and, you know, go see people, talk. Like, it's fun. So there I am. We're on a job site, and we got like a 500-foot pipe run. Might not have been that long, but it makes the story better. So we got 24 4-inch conduits going 500 feet. It's a heck of a long way. A lot of cable to pull, a lot of pipe to put up, and we're doing it like 30 feet in the air. I say we, but I mean them and really Frank's team. So with that, like, there's apparently this like new pipe clamp out on how to hold and secure it. And apparently, you know, and Frank's pulling up his PO there on his phone with the whole team in front of him, and he's like, and I'll save some of this, but like, what the, and why is this so expensive? Like, what the hell happened? And apparently 4 times the price to like the other stuff he could have bought. And he's like, guys, what the, is this really much faster? Team's there, goes through a scenario, and he's like, could we save 40 hours using this new thing? I tell this story because it is a prime example of teaching people how to think, right? He was transparent, told what the price was, price difference, ran through the math, figured out like, hey, we need 40 hours. Can you do it? Because you're the guys that are executing on the work, right? It's not me sitting up there as the guy that's buying stuff or whatever. Again, I don't buy nothing to do this work, but like working it through with the team transparently and going through those financials. And so took the time to explain it, walk through it, give the team the option, and it's on them, right? Just like Patrick gives it to his PMs to run their jobs how they see fit. Like, this is leadership. Now, it might not be formal in all senses, but like it is, but that's how you lead. You show people the way that you're thinking through a project so they can make those decisions. Now, when you tie it back to like, you know, obviously this is a financial thing and like what makes the most sense, but like you tie it back to the mission and what we're here to do and how to make money, and, you know, you tie it back to, well, this means we could do X, Y, or Z, right? You take that extra time. And often on job sites, like, dude, it's so, like, you're trying to move through it and just beat that horse till it's done, right? Till the job's done, closed out, paid. And a lot of it, you take an extra 2 minutes to talk through, like, what this means for your people. For a lot of us, that is the most painful thing you can do, is take that 2 minutes. Like, it is so hard to take that time to really, like, tie it back through. You can walk through this, and this is, like, just a prime example of leadership. You know, teaching guys like how to make decisions. And I just thought it was so fitting for it, right? Can you save 40 hours? And so, again, teach your teams to like think through the process. How are you thinking? How are you going about it? Right? Like, that is what we want to teach people as we lead and grow our companies. Because you're not going to be there for every single decision that they're making. You can't. And at some of your guys' scale, like, there is no way. You can't get out of executive meetings, let alone talk to the guys doing the work. So teach your teams how to think and empower them to make those decisions. So thanks, Frank. Summary. All right. AI's here. It's been here. Use it. Like, start using your favorite app. Pick one. ChatGPT, Grok. Pick a thing, figure out how to use it, and just ask it, how do I use you? This is what I want to do. but it's, you have to think. This is all about your mind. This is all about how to think through a project, a problem. Like, you have to give it the vision of where you want to go. If you don't give it the inputs, you'll get bad outputs. Pretty simple. Because someone else will do it. They'll keep their output and cost the same or come in under you in a price competitive world. But also, if you just deliver faster, right? If you can put quotes together faster, if you can put summaries together faster to tell people what you're doing, if you just, start doing more voice notes instead of typing all the time, like, there's a lot of ways to like help your process and just talk through stuff. And, you'll be like one of those guys that we all know in our towns that are homeless and just talking to themselves. Like, that's what you're going to be doing, but in your office, just walking around in circles, talking to yourself in your little AI and blue dot, man. But it will save you so much time. It'll help you talk through this stuff. It's going to be another voice and sounding board, especially when your wives or spouses get tired of hearing it. Teach your people how to think. It happens one person at a time. You're not going to, granted, we do have the opportunity to have this event here today and to talk to all of you at once, but real learning happens one person at a time. And I think we often forget that it's, we got to train the whole team, but it's always been one person at a time. It will forever be one person at a time. And you just have to take the time to pour into that next person up, to train your replacement. Because, and I've had this for a very long time, that, again, at 25, leading a department, I was teaching guys that were 62 how to use Revit. And one of the old guys felt really bad because like every other day he came up to me asking me the same question. He's like, I know I've asked you this like 6 times this week. I'm like, dude, it's fine. Once you get it, I will never have to do that again. It will forever save me time. You will feel better about yourself. I've had this attitude for a very long time. And because, yes, it takes me more time now to go through that with them, but it will save me a lot of time, a lot of headaches, and that guy feels so much better about what he can do. Because he used to be doing red lines and giving it to some guy, and then that guy would screw it up, and then he would look bad. Now he's in control of his own work. So the more that you can empower people to be in charge of their own work, their own productivity, their own results, man, they feel real good about that. You feel real good about that. Because now they're doing it. You don't have to. Shit gets done, right? Everybody moves on. It's cool. So teach your people like how to think, not what to think, not whatever, but like teach them the thought processes. It does take more time. It will be painful. You will want to yell at them and kick them in the ass, but that's how it goes, man. Thank you.